Fee, welcome
Graham.
to the show. It's great to have you on the show. Um, how have you enjoyed this Democratic convention?
You know, being media, we have to watch certain clips of it, I guess, to discuss it. It was really difficult to watch a 20-minute speech by Barack Obama, who he is one of the most warmongering presidents we have ever had. Continued George Bush's wars, as you know,
Mhm.
the enabled one of the largest transfers of wealth from the working class to the 1%. And he's sitting there on his pulpit talking about the soul of our nation and how Joe Biden's going to get this done. And then I go online and I see people, oh my God, that was such a wonderful speech by Barack Obama. And I'm just like, you know what, we deserve every little bit of injustice we get with Donald Trump, because people still haven't learned their lesson. I mean, the fact that this guy did so much damage, the fact that he is one of the reasons we have Donald Trump today, and people are still focused on how well the speaker he is. It's disgusting to me, and just seeing the capitulation of people like AOC,
Yeah.
who is praising Kamala Harris, saying she's going to do whatever she can to elect her. The manipulation that she did by nominating Bernie Sanders, knowing that it was symbolic, and then double downing on that, saying, "Oh yeah, but it was symbolic. I support Joe Biden." Like, it's what's the point of electing people like her into Congress if they're going to continue doing this? And yet you have people still praising Barack Obama because he's a great speaker. And I just come to the realization, I think a lot of us have, that as awful as Donald Trump is, I hate the Democratic Party more, because as they were having this convention, Graham, they were stealing another election in South Florida with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I mean, this is a Democratic Party. They get on one end and they talk about solutions via symbolic platitudes. That's their solution, saving the soul of the nation, because they can't dare talk about policy because their policies are completely out of the picture because they don't have any. Because their whole policy is we're not Donald Trump, and that's supposed to save working people. I don't give a shit how great of a speaker Obama is when people are still going to be evicted from their homes. We're in the middle of a pandemic and Congress went on vacation. I mean, this is the anger that most people are feeling. And then you get told, well, you can't be angry. Stop being angry. But Trump, but Trump, but Trump. And it's like the younger generations that I think aren't gonna stop being angry. They're just not gonna stop because there's no other way. There's a planet and it's dying at this point. That's where the stakes are
Yeah.
at.
And I think you bring a great point. Unfortunately, it's like my generation and up, the Gen Xers and up are still thinking, they still watch traditional media. They still believe all this crap that is fed to them by the traditional media and think that Obama is so great because this is what they know. And they still, it was all people mainly in my age group who when Kamala when Kamala was announced, all went, yay. And I was like, oh God. And you're right. The young people are the ones, your age group and younger is the ones getting screwed the most. Your future's been hijacked. It's been taken from you. You're not going to have one. You're going to have to, if you do have one, it's going to be some kind of Civil War nightmare hellscape. And you shouldn't be happy with this because the Democratic Party is the problem. I mean, it is but when you make Trump, yeah, Trump, we all know how awful he is. He was the most beatable guy. He's beatable now. If the Democratic Party had gotten behind Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders also didn't quit, and AOC was the person we thought she was going to be, and Bernie was going to the person we thought she was going to be. Right now, Bernie would be getting the nomination, and it would be like he would have a 15 to 20 point lead in the polls because he would be going, I'm going to give you Medicare for all. I'm going to give you UBI and lay out the policies that have failed under Trump, not rather than just Trump bad and the integrity of the White House. Really, when Obama put 3 million people, when he deported 3 million people, when him and Biden built cages and separated families at the border, don't tell me about your integrity. I can't listen to they just, it's literally, it's like when I was a kid in the 80s, and the American car companies were getting their asses kicked by the Japanese because they kept making bad cars. And Americans were like, I'd love to buy American, but you're making bad cars. And then they would say they blame Japan. And I remember driving through Michigan and somebody had a Japan sucks hat. And I was like, you're losing. I mean, like, what, like, it's unbelievable to me. Are you, it's like, are you mad that Tom Brady beat you, or do you think you want to get your team better? It's unbelievable. Like, they just make excuse after excuse after excuse. And the people don't want to acknowledge these vote any blue will do people. And I am a little bit at that point too. Like, I want to see change, but it's almost like, okay, this is what you assholes get, man. We've been screaming from the mountaintops. And if Biden loses, they're going to blame you. They're going to blame me. They're going to blame Jimmy. They're going to blame Abby Martin. They're going to blame all of us. And okay, you guys refuse to acknowledge that. The only analogy I can make that wakes some of them up is I go, you know how white people are waking up to systemic racism and the police brutality? Like, anybody who grew up in the suburbs and thought, well, the cops aren't that bad. And then they went out and protested in late May and into June and got their asses kicked by the cops, went, oh, okay, and they're going, no, there's systemic racism. No, it's not a few bad apples. The vote any blue will do crowd that refuses to acknowledge the corruption of the Democrats it's the same thing as the people who are like, hey, I don't, not all cops are bad. A few bad apples. There's not systemic. They're just as in much denial as that.
Exactly. And and Kamala Harris, like let's highlight her for a minute, going in there talking about, all of a sudden she rarely ever mentioning her Indian heritage, right? Like weaponizing, tokenizing her own identity, because that's what works. So great. I'm so glad we're going to have a female VP that's going to incarcerate people of color. That makes it so much better. I'm sure the bombs that are going to be dropped in the Middle East continuously, because Joe Biden's going to continue this disastrous foreign policy, giving the military industrial complex even more control. I'm sure those people are going to feel so much better that a Democrat is dropping those bombs rather than a Republican. And it's this idea that, like, oh, I'm a woman of color, I'm going to be president. It is putting a superficial symbolic purity on top of vile actions, and that's all the Democratic Party is good for. And unfortunately, you're right, a lot of people do swallow it. And I think I'm at the point where I think we need the Democratic Party to fall on its face in order for people to realize how bad this is, because otherwise I think we're going to continue herding people back into the Democratic Party. I think AOC and people like her are there to do that. They're there to herd people back into the party, so you don't build outside. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be building outside right now. That's where our power is. General strike movements. People are trying to do that. And I think that's where we need to go, and not waste our time trying to prop people up like the AOCs or the squad, who have honestly failed in their opposition to people like Nancy Pelosi, because they're too scared to oppose her because of the repercussions that might happen to them career-wise.
Yeah, and they tell themselves, hey, I'm going to get these little wins in there. I got a job inside of a drug cartel, and hey, I make sure the drug cartel stops selling outside of school. So, hey, that's a win. Rather than, no, you shouldn't be working in a goddamn drug cartel. You should stop working and selling poison. And they keep telling themselves that they're doing good things. And like, literally, for me, I've been done with this two-party system for a long time. And Bernie was the only one that went, I didn't vote. I didn't register as a Democrat in 2016 but I California, you can. And then I heard that my ballot might have even been purged. So I re-registered with the Democratic Party for the first time in years. In 2020, and then Bernie quit, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm just done. Like,
everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.